Again, not the
One wrong
best.
move and everyone will know.
Yeah,
But it's only for today.
And you're locked into another episode of the Anlio podcast. My name is Josh, and we are glad to be back with you this week, as we are every week. In case you aren't aware, we do a video component each week with our podcast. This is usually the full unedited conversation, and you also have the pleasure of looking at our wonderful faces. Um, so if you are already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Give us a like. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And that is youtube.com/at NLU podcasts. And it is sweater weather. It is getting colder, just not here in Tennessee where we live, but just all around. And it's I just like being warm and cozy, and my wife does as well. So, without further ado, my lovely wife, Rebecca.
Well, hey, y'all.
Oh, you got that southern twang going on.
Thought I'd pull it out.
Oh, great. But this really all started like for me getting into the sweater weather and cozy mood. It was when we went to the pumpkin patch this past weekend. It was not the best of times. It was not the worst of times. It was the meh of times because it was not only was it cold, but it was raining, which made it even colder. But it was fun. It set. They did not have hot apple cider. They had apple cider slushy, which
Just
is
weird.
yeah.
Why would they not have hot cider? I'm sorry. There was a bug.
Oh.
It's flying around. Okay. Sorry.
But they had hot chocolates. And mouse over here. But they had hot chocolates. So I'm like,
And
okay, well,
coffee.
yeah, and coffee.
Hot chocolate, coffee.
And I'm like, well, it's better than nothing. It's not cider, but you know.
Yeah. Overall, it was fun. It
Yeah.
was much more for like younger kids.
Right, yeah.
We did go with kids, by the way.
We did,
just
yeah. We weren't. It wasn't just.
No.
Yeah, we had our nephews there with us and their families.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I would say it would be a lot more fun to go with the kids when they are.
Yeah, like toddler age, that 4, 5, 6-year-old.
Yeah, perfect time.
Yeah,
perfect time.
Because then they can take part in everything.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little place. They're open, I think, from Easter to Thanksgiving or something.
I think you're right, or
like
at least the end of October, at least.
Yeah, so they had a bunch of like animals there because it was a farm, so you could pet the sheeps and the sheep and the goats and the. They had these huge rabbits. I mean,
ginormous,
enormous rabbits. They look so fluffy.
Yeah.
I wanted to pet them, but that was not going to happen.
It is not the deal for that day.
Not meant to be. No.
But with it getting colder, we thought it was appropriate to discuss the movie we'll be doing this week, and that is Frozen. Now, the first one.
Yeah.
Before
I've already done the second one.
Before anybody says anything, we've had a habit of doing the sequel first. But again, we told you we would bring back number one. We're bringing it back. Well, we're actually just talking about it for the first time, so we're not actually we're bringing back the series.
Oh, you know who is back though, Josh?
Who?
NSYNC.
Oh yeah, they are.
I'm so excited. At least they are for one song.
Yeah, one song.
For the Trolls. Josh, we should do Trolls one day.
We should do Trolls.
That would be so
we'll discuss that later. Now it's all about Frozen.
That's right, Frozen. Sorry. Focus.
Now we have I've watched Frozen, gosh, at least a dozen times, and we thought about, well, we could go through memory and try to do our best with that, but in our history of doing the podcasts, it doesn't always bode well when we try to do it from memory, so we have to kind of have an idea of what we're going to talk about, instead of just pulling things out of thin air.
We could have done a good job, but
yeah,
it was better to go ahead and rewatch it. We actually just finished watching it.
Yes, so fresh.
Very fresh. Yeah.
But the main theme for this episode in relation to Frozen is fear, and how fear is a consuming thing, especially with what's going on right now. I won't get into that. I won't get into that just because things are changing every day, and the situation could change by the time we wake up tomorrow, or when you're listening to this podcast. Um, but we're not given a spirit of fear. We're given I always used to have this contradiction in my mind. It's like, well, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but in Scripture it says, "Fear the Lord." I mean, in plain English, fear means the same thing, at least in my mind, as a negative. But I've heard that fear and trembling before the Lord is more a connotation of being in awe. Have you ever heard that, Becca?
Yeah, that's what I kind of grew up understanding the fear of the Lord to be.
Mm-hmm.
It is more of a, yeah, like you said, a respect for who he is, a fear of like, also kind of like, truly fear
Mm-hmm.
of this is God and he created literally everything, which means that he could take it away at any
Yep, like
moment.
that.
And I mean, that's a little bit of fear, and a
Oh
fear of
yeah.
like, when our time on this earth is done and we come before the great white throne of judgment, we will be judged for our actions and inactions.
Oh yes.
And I think we kind of forget to talk about that in a lot of churches
We do, yeah.
today.
Well, because
And
I think we don't. Well, they don't talk about that. It's like, oh, well, you don't have to worry about that. You go through for the Great White Throne Judgment, not the what's the other like the Bema seat or something like that, or is that the same thing?
I do not remember, but there are two different judgments. Yes, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, there's two different judgment. One is for unbelievers. One is for believers.
Yes.
One judges, did you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Nope. Well, unfortunately, you have chosen poorly.
Yep.
As in
And for those of you who
Indiana
don't
Jones.
believe this, you know that we come at our episodes from a biblical Christian perspective. Um, again, this is just our views and how we interpret Scripture. But this is pretty fundamental
I was about to say this is a
to
very
what
fundamental
to what
belief.
they believe. Now, there's other things in doctrine that are debatable, but this is fundamental, not wavering on this.
Right. Yeah. One of those like non-doctrinal things is like the rapture.
Right.
The rapture is not specifically said in the Bible.
Exactly.
There's
Well, there's like Harpazo, and I
yeah, to
there's
be
a
caught
there
up and
there's
things
a
like
ton
that.
of other teachers. We are in no means well versed in that. Um, it's just something we haven't spent our time on.
Mm. So fear is our
Yes,
main point.
right. And give you a quick synopsis of Frozen. It's actually 10 years old as of this year. Um,
I thought it came out in 2012,
2013, I'm pretty sure.
2013. Was it
Yeah,
like November?
November. Yeah,
November 2013.
yeah. So this November turns 10 years old, and it's crazy. Like that, it does not feel like the movie came out that long ago. But it's about two sisters who, unfortunately, through a turn of events, are separated from each other. One sister, who is set to be queen, has a altercation with the other sister because she's crazy and wants to marry a guy that she just met. The queen then goes off to the mountains, builds her own ice castle, and a bunch of endeavors ensue. And who you thought was good is not actually good, and who you think was just an ordinary guy actually ends up being the real guy, the real deal.
You give the strangest synopsises.
I know, but it makes you want to watch it now.
That is not how I would describe Frozen at all.
Well, okay,
But
okay. Well, it's better than my first synopsis of Fruits Basket.
I don't remember. I mean, I remember us talking about that, and I do love the show.
Yeah. Okay. How would you explain it?
I would explain Frozen as there's these two princesses who are princesses of the land called Arendelle. One of them is born with ice magic, and the other one is a very happy-go-lucky, fun-loving little girl. They are playing one day in the ballroom, making snowmen. Accident happens, and which means that the Elsa is the sister with magic, and she has to keep, or she thinks anyway, she has to keep her magic secret. And so she completely pulls away from Anna, and they become estranged after losing their parents. And several years later, she becomes queen. On coronation day, Anna, the happy-go-lucky person, falls in love with this prince of the Southern Isles, Hans, and they decide they want to get married. Anna finally gets upset with Elsa. Elsa gets upset with her. Her magic releases. She's been living with this fear of her magic getting out and hurting someone else, like it hurt her little sister. And she runs away and accidentally causes eternal winter for the whole town. Anna goes to save her, and there's your synopsis.
Maybe you should do those from now on. I like that better. But yeah, in a nutshell, there you have the whole story. Now the fear in kind of it comes from what they just described a little bit, where Elsa pulls away from Anna. She's very secluded in her room, and that's because, again, bad parenting here. Her father says, what was it?
Conceal,
Conceal,
don't feel,
don't let
let it show.
Which, again, not
One
the
wrong
best
move and everyone will know.
Yeah,
But it's only for today.
not the best advice, because she's she's just keeping all that fear inside, all the hurt inside, and we could relate to, like, mental health. Honestly, you look fine on the outside, but you're harboring all that pain, all that anxiety in the inside.
Well, when you keep it all on the inside, it turns into something completely different. Honestly, since you mentioned mental health, it's I mean, for her it's more of like a phobia rather than, like, I was thinking of even maybe OCD traits, because she's of um terrified of letting her magic get out and hurting people. So she thinks that if she is around people too long, then she will hurt them. Therefore, she needs to stay locked away. And those are some of the, like, intrusive thoughts that people who suffer from OCD deal with. And it's a lot. It's debilitating. Fear and anxiety is debilitating. I mean, you could almost say she's got like panic attacks that happen.
Right.
And this is no joke. This is what happens when you try to stuff down all of your emotions, to conceal everything and don't feel. You're a robot, and that's just not how life works. You can't be a robot. That's not. Yeah, that's not what we're built to do.
No, and that's to be in community with one another. And
I'm sorry. There's a fly, okay?
There is, and I'm on the catch in
I know.
there.
I should have left it alone because it wasn't harming anybody. Sorry.
It's all right. You're watching on the video portion of the podcast. This is all the antics you get to see. We're swatting flies and
I know.
banging on our mics.
Literally.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like, we're not to be a community. We're not meant to harbor all those. We're not meant to carry it alone. And Elsa is carrying that burden alone. She's wearing the gloves and to go with the OCD. As long as she wears the gloves, the magic stays inside, and she doesn't hurt anyone. She doesn't want to hurt her parents. She doesn't want to hurt her sister. She doesn't want to hurt the people of Arendelle.
Yeah.
And it's it's not a good situation all around until Coronation Day, though, where Anna's hopes and dreams of just seeing people.
Poor thing.
And
she just wants to go outside.
Yeah.
She's like in the I want to build a snowman song. She's like, I've started talking to the pictures on the wall. Hang in there, Joan. And but yeah, like poor girl, she just needs some company.
She does.
Ugh.
And when I can kind of liken this to when you have your first boyfriend, your first girlfriend, or you've been out of the dating game a while and you're trying to get back out there and your standards are very low. You take almost anybody. And, Prince Hans, he's got the charm and everything, but Anna just lays it all out there. Like, she's fully in.
She's too eager.
And she's going 100 miles per hour. Her love train not stopping.
I get it. I was like her at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got to live some life before you really realize that that's probably not the best way to go.
No. And she definitely hasn't had a lot of life. Being stuck inside that palace all day.
Yeah, she just wants to eat her chocolate.
Yep. And be the picture of sophisticated grace. But another thing I thought about with this movie is the overall focus of like love. We have Anna's version of love, which is just, I love everybody. I love you, Hans. Let's get married. And we come to find out later in the film that love can be demonstrated in many different ways. And Becky, you had a film that if you want to go into it.
Yeah. I love the way that you set that up, Josh, because it's true. Everybody has a different version of love, but there's only one type of love that saves.
And love casts out all fear. You see what I did there?
Yes, that is the answer, right? That the movie tells us is so we've got Anna, who has been she reached out to Elsa to say, hey, she's singing the reprise of Love is an Open Door.
No, reprise for the first time in forever.
First time in forever. I knew that. Anyway, so she's like, for the first time in forever, I finally understand you, Aunt Elsa. Like, please come on, just let me in. I just want to love you and help you. And Elsa just can't. She can't take it. She has been lied to, kept in this cage for her entire life. And so she ends up, not on purpose, but she ends up getting her in the heart, putting that ice in her heart.
Yes.
And I thought it was really interesting, this idea of, ice in the head.
Right, because that's where the action starts, is Anna as a child gets hit in the head by her ice powers.
Right. And then Poppy? The troll, was his name Poppy?
No, it's not Poppy. It's
Grand Poppy. It's
Grand
Grand Poppy.
the Grand Troll. We'll say that.
His name is Grand Poppy. Anyway, the old troll. He says, you know, the head can be easily persuaded into thinking something different, and you know, that's easy to change and manipulate. But when you get struck in the heart, that is much more difficult
Absolutely.
to change. And it takes an act of true love to change the heart. And there's lots of different parallels that we can talk about here. You know, one of them is the love of God is the only thing that can, you know, melt our heart of stone or heart of ice, if you will, to make it a heart of flesh. And it's only his love that can do that.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And then it's an act of true love. So sacrifice of true love. You know, what Jesus did for us, he sacrificed his life on the cross so that we could have a relationship with God and build that bridge again with him. And so there's lots of different little parallels here that we can pull out of that one particular heart of ice, frozen heart, if you will.
And we certainly see that sacrificial love when Anna sacrifices herself for Elsa when she's about to be killed.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, there's, you know, when we're in trouble and when we, you know, we've been hurt. So say instead of, you know, it being a heart of stone or whatever, I guess when Elsa hurt Anna, you could even say emotionally hurt her. It finally struck her, I guess. And that really, really was an injury on the inside. And when we have an injury like that, a lot of times we try to say something happened to us. Our best friend betrayed us or hurt us in some way, or your husband or wife cheats on you, or your child dies, or I mean, like serious stuff here, and more trivial as well, you know, that kind of a thing. A lot of times we turn to things that we think will love us back, right? We turn to shopping, or we turn to, you know, classic drugs, alcohol, sex, all kinds of things that we think will make us feel better. And it does make us feel better for a little bit, but it's not truly the answer.
Right.
So Anna gets struck in the heart with this ice, and she thinks, oh, true love's kiss, and I need to go see Hans. So they rush back to Hans. All the while, Kristoff is there.
Yeah, it's like, well, what about Kristoff? You gonna do him like that,
right? You just spend all this time, even though they I guess they technically only knew each other for a day too. So
yeah,
mixed messaging,
right?
But
and when they go back there, and you know, Anna's like, oh, I need you to kiss me. So, well, what? You know, Elsa, you know, struck my heart, and it can only be, you know, cured by a true love's kiss. So then we have this that ensues. Don't worry, it's coming. I'm gonna go in for the kiss, and it's gonna be great, but
oh, Anna. If only there was someone out there who loved you.
Ooh, that's yeah.
Hurts.
You said you did.
As 13th in line in my own kingdom, I didn't stand a chance. I knew I'd have to marry into the throne somewhere.
What are you talking about?
As heir, Elsa was preferable, of course, but no one was getting anywhere with her. But you,
Hans.
you were so desperate for love, you were willing to marry me just like that. I figured after we'd married, I'd have to stage a little accident for Elsa.
Yeah.
So
He's a bad man.
He's bad. He's very bad. I know. Once you figure that out, you're like, oh, that colors everything that he said in a whole different light.
Yeah, well, even in the song "Love Is an Open Door,"
Oh yeah,
there's that one line that's like, it's like, yeah, and I've been searching my whole life to find my own place, and that visual of like, yeah, and this is gonna be that place.
Right, exactly. And I'm gonna steal it from you and your sister.
Yeah.
Naive.
When I first saw that in the movie theater, I was not expecting that.
I wasn't
and they played it really well because we see Hans as the heroic, as he's really into
he was
Anna.
the perfect picture of a prince,
Yes,
if you will.
but again, that's how the enemy comes in, and he's so alluring, and again we've discussed that before. But again, just another example of that yeah, all these things may seem enticing and they fulfill temporarily, but they're not going to give you that everlasting fulfillment.
Right. And, that kind of brings us to the fjord when they all converge on this fjord.
Yes.
And Anna's out there freezing to death. She's trying to look for Kristoff because she's like, Kristoff is my true love. That's who I need to kiss me, and then I'll be okay. So she goes and ventures out. Kristoff realizes he loves her and wants to go after her. And Elsa's out there as well, and so is Hans, and so they all come on this fjord. Hans finds Elsa and is about to strike her down and kill her when Anna sees she's going for Kristoff, and then she sees Elsa about to be struck down, and she turns away from Kristoff and goes towards Elsa, and you find that sacrificial love. So, to me, that just kind of, it shows the sacrificial love, first of all. But then it also shows me that, the things that are good can distract us from the truth. So what Anna needed was Elsa, or what Elsa needed, I suppose, was to love her sister, to show that love to Anna, and that would be able to break the spell, to break the curse. So while Kristoff is good, he's not bad. Hans is bad, but Kristoff is good. So, I mean, Kristoff could represent, I suppose, meditating and praying and reading your Bible.
Yeah, all the
things.
supplemental stuff that reinforces.
Yeah, all good things. But like sometimes those things become habit and they become ritual rather than relationship.
Right.
And what we need to do is just put all of that down. And we need to say, all right, God, I'm here. What do you want? What do you want from me? I actually had to do that last weekend when for like, I don't know, a week or two, I had this like restless feeling for a long time, and I didn't really know what was going on. Finally, Saturday morning, I was sitting down to do some Bible study, and I had been kind of feeling like I've just been doing my Bible study because I need to do it, rather than actually like being in relationship with God, which is, the whole point. So I'm journaling, doing my thing, and I'm like, you know what? I just really get the sense that God is wanting to tell me something, and has been for a couple of weeks, and I just haven't been listening. And so I put down my pen and I sit there and I go, all right, God, here I am. I'm listening. And as soon as I did that, he gave me some insight into my life. He was like, you're doing too much right now. You need to take a break. And so I decided I'm not going to be taking this extra class here coming up that's starting Monday. I need a break. I need a break from school. I've been going crazy. But if I hadn't have taken the time to stop and listen and to be in relationship with God, I probably would have continued on and, really hurt myself in the process, potentially become burnt out with school and really not been any good or any fun or really present for the holiday season coming up. And so that was just so important. So that was one instance where Christoph, the good, was getting in the way of the best, the relationship with God.
Right.
The loving relationship between Elsa and Anna. And so that's what I think.
All very good points. And I was gonna bring up the point where Anna's persistence and just her drive for her sister, and that she's, trying to get her sister's attention, saying, "Hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to, whatever it is, we'll figure it out together," just like in the reprise. And I was going to make the analogy of like God going after the lost sheep that we made that too many times.
I mean, it's a good thing.
But it's more
a lot,
so
though.
when God tries to get your attention, or that just like you were saying a little bit ago, that he's persistent, but he's also a gentleman. But he'll find a way. He'll put people in your path, or he'll give you some type of message or method for that message to reach you. Because he wants to be in a relationship with you, just like Anna wants that relationship with Elsa, her sister, and he's just going at it. It's like, listen, I know you caused an eternal winter. I know you would never intentionally hurt me. Let's work through this.
Yeah,
but it goes back to that fear that Elsa has in her heart, not in her head, but as in her heart, that she's not going to be easily, taken like that. Just like when people are with mental health, who have depression or whatever, you say, "Oh, buck up and be happy." And
that's like the worst thing you could possibly say.
It's like, don't you think they've tried that? So just like then, it's not easy. It is a process. And for those of you who are dealing with fear and just let the state of the world and everything, whether you're religious or not, and I think more people are coming to the conclusion there's a higher power at work, and he has everything in control. So rest in knowing that if you're dealing with fear of any type.
Yeah, and I was looking up earlier other stories in the Bible where people were dealing with severe fear.
Yes.
And I found some really good ones.
Okay.
So I shall read some of them out.
What translation is this? Just curious.
Google search.
Okay. So all of them.
yeah. I mean, these are just some of the stories in the Bible. Moses, classic.
Oh, yeah.
Moses was scared to confront Pharaoh. He was like, I don't want to talk to my brother about letting your people go, God. That's scary. I don't want to talk in front of people. That's scary. But then God sent, of course, the 10 plagues, and then the miracle of escaping through the Red Sea and the parting of the Red Sea. And then we've got the story of the 10 scouts who explored the promised land, but they came back terrified, saying, "We are but grasshoppers in their sight. Oh, they're giants." They were all very scared. And because of that, They wandered around. The Israelites wandered around for 40 years in the desert because they were scared. Is that not crazy? Yeah. Well, the problem is that they came back and they discouraged the rest of the Israelite camps that they should be afraid too. So that was not good. Jonah was afraid of God's command to go preach to the Ninevites. So he ran away, and result of that is he got swallowed by a fish. Stayed in there for a while until he finally repented. So yay. David was a young shepherd boy who faced the giant Goliath with faith and courage, while the rest of the Israelite army was terrified. Talk about paralyzed with fear. They were all scared because they didn't really trust God, but David did. And then Peter was one of Jesus's closest disciples, but he denied Jesus 3 times out of fear for what the Jewish authorities would do to him if they found out that they were associated. And he later asked for forgiveness, and wonderful altogether. And even Jesus was afraid. He was afraid on the cross in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he prayed. He prayed to be set free from his task of what he needed to do. And but he prayed, Lord, let your will be done, not my will. And I think that goes to show too, even that I think a lot of times emotions are really demonized, and they're looked at as a sin. Oh, you shouldn't be angry. Anger is a sin.
Right.
Or you shouldn't be afraid because that means you're not trusting God, and that's a sin.
Well, no, these are just emotions. Now,
Right.
if they can lead you to sin, that's when they become, troublesome.
Yeah, I say a lot of times is that emotions are indicators of something else going on.
Right.
They are not in and of themselves bad. It's what you do when you have those emotions, or when you let those emotions control you, that can become a problem. Like Elsa. Elsa was consumed by fear, and she did hurt the people around her because she let the fear consume her. And that's not good. That's not good. But when you brought love in, suddenly that magic that could hurt people helps people, and it's beautiful and wonderful. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be done with love. It reminds me of, I know it's such a cliche chapter at this point, but 1 Corinthians 13, which is talking about love, but basically Paul is saying in the letter to the Corinthians, he's like, if I have not love, if you could do, you could serve all of the poor, you can give all of your money away to help build churches and charities and all of these wonderful things, hand food out, but if you don't do it with love, it's worth nothing. Love is everything. Everything you do needs to be done with love, and that is certainly the case for Elsa. Love was the answer. She was using her magic in fear rather than in love. And that's when it became beautiful, is when it was in love.
Kind of said it there myself, and that really sums up the whole movie and our allegory, was related to a biblical perspective, bringing fear, love casts out all fear, sacrificial love, all that great stuff. So if you haven't seen it, which in 10
I can't
years,
imagine you haven't, but definitely go watch it.
Exactly. Regarding our live stream, keep the eye out on our socials, at Emily Podcast, for all our socials. We'll be letting you know about the day and time of that, so you can have that on your calendar and make sure to tune in. And we're really looking forward to that. A little bit nervous, but we're looking forward to it. Becca, any closing remarks as we close this episode?
No, just that I'm excited for what's to come for the rest of the year. Excited about all of the holiday season coming up. It's exciting.
Yes. Oh, and we did do a poll about a couple weeks ago because for whatever reason, Joseph King of Dreams has been our most listened to episode out of the history of our podcast to date.
I don't even remember what we said, honestly. I think that was
it was episode 9.
Oh my goodness, that was early on. I
Er-
remember being really upset before we started recording because I wanted to do more Bible study.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not ready. And I was upset. And then we did it and you pulled out the Pharaoh phrasing and it was funny and it turned out to be great.
So actually, if you want us to do more animated Bible story centered episodes, and so we will. And I can tell you which one that we're going to do, that we're going to try to fit one in before we do our whole Christmas series in December. Kind of going to do a different thing for that this year. We're not going to do a Scrooge or a Christmas Carol. We're not going to do that this year because we've done one the last few years. And
we did?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did the newer Netflix one, right?
Yeah, the newer Netflix one, and then we did one. I forget which one we did. The other time.
I don't know.
But yeah. Anyway, until next time, keep those halos shiny and stay holy, my friends.
Bye.